Good morning, Dr. Jeff here, running physical therapist. Today, we are going to talk about an often underrated and overlooked part of the running gait, the arm swing. A good arm swing is essential for good running economy, efficiency, and also for injury prevention. So, sort of the same reasons that we talked about a few weeks ago with running with a higher cadence can help with these two aspects of your running. Make no mistake, the arms are not just along for the ride. They are extremely important for balance, generating forward momentum, and storing elastic energy across the anterior fascial planes of our body. In the upper extremity, one of the most common running form faults that I see is no elbow window. The runner runs with his arms too far forwards, often closing down this window. The right arm tends to mirror what the left leg does. If the right arm is too far forwards, there is a great chance that you will overstride on the left. So let's look at some examples of really poor arm running mechanics so that we can appreciate really good mechanics a little bit later on when we look at some pros. So in this picture here, she is overreaching with her left arm. Her elbow's coming way past her chest, and this mirrors what's happening with her right leg. We can see in her leg what I call the terrible trifecta, or the check mark of death, the check mark of impact. Her toes are pointing up towards the sky. She's landing at the back of her heel. Her tibia is tilted way back, and her knee is almost straight. These are all kinematic factors that contribute to higher impact. The other fault that we see with her right arm is it is way too straight, which leads to a lot of wasted energy. Speaking of wasted energy, we see large elbow windows on both sides, a lot of wasted energy in trunk rotation. This results in a very narrow base of support that can contribute to all kinds of running injuries, such as runner's knee and iliotibial band syndrome. She has virtually no knee window. This is where you can't see space in between her knees. Normally, we should be able to see a fist wide space in between the knees with good form. Now, let's compare these suboptimal arm swings to some really great arm swings demonstrated by some of the world's best runners. All three of these ladies have really excellent form, especially considering this is near the end of the New York City Marathon. Shalane Flanagan's form stands out, though. She has a near perfect arm swing. She drives her elbows straight back. She has super large elbow windows, allowing her to really stretch the fascia across her core, really improving her running economy, and it probably helped her win the race. Kiatani wastes a little energy with her excessive trunk rotation compared to Shalane. Kiatani's arms tend to swing more across her body. Shalane's form only breaks down with a bit more of a wide and open arm swing when she can see the finish line. But at this point, she's no longer interested in saving energy. She's emptying the tank. Shalane has one of the best elbow windows I've ever seen. In this shot, you can see the people across the street through her elbow window. By driving her right elbow back so far, she is able to store energy, elastic energy, denoted by this yellow line, all across the front of her body. This helps tremendously with running economy. The research shows that, much to many runners' surprise, she doesn't have to even lift her left leg forwards. It's all stored elastic energy. If we put EMG electrodes on her hip flexors, they're not contracting. This is not true of a novice runner who doesn't take advantage of the elbow drive and storing this elastic energy. So, the only way to reharvest this stored elastic energy between the left arm and the right leg is this magical link called the core. This is why elite runners such as Shalane spend a lot of time doing core work. Now let's see what we can learn from some of the elite men. Meb, Olympian and Boston Marathon winner, has one of the best arm swings I've ever seen. This is not by chance. Meb pays a lot of attention to his arm swing in his training. In this picture, you can almost see the elastic energy stored across the front of his body. His elbow drive is coupled with his hip extension. When Meb is running on a sunny day, he will often look at his shadow on a building to see if his elbow window is large enough. Meb swings his arms with a nice compact swing, slightly inside of 90 degrees. He has a nice forward trunk lean and a very low vertical oscillation. If you watch his hands, they are not clasped in fists, but they're relaxed and open. He could hold the potato chips in his hands without breaking them. Also notice how Meb drives his elbows straight back, and he keeps his elbows in nice and close to his body, so there is no elbow window from the front. Ironman champion Dave Scott also pays a lot of attention to his arm swing. In fact, a neat trick I learned from him is when you get towards the end of an Ironman or a marathon, when your legs are just burning and really beat up and tired and sluggish, your arms haven't taken the same beating. So if you concentrate more on your arms than your legs, swinging your arms fast, it'll help you keep up your cadence that tends to slow down towards the end of a marathon or Ironman. In the photo, you'll notice Mark Allen's arm swing is more forward and open, and his legs are more straight. His running form is really breaking down. He is adopting the Ironman shuffle towards the end of a 140-mile race. Now let's look at the goat's form at the end of a marathon. Keep in mind, he is running at a near 4:30-minute mile pace. His form is near perfect. He has a really compact elbow swing. Notice how far back he keeps his elbows. You could almost take a dowel and put it through his elbow windows from the side, and he would be able to keep it there. This gives me a good idea for a drill. Let's find a dowel and go down to the track. So guys, I'm going to show you two of my favorite drills for improving arm swing. The first one can easily be done with a dowel, a golf club, great use for a golf club, whatever you got lying around, broomstick, vacuum cleaner wand. What you simply do, looking from the side here, is put the stick through your elbow window. And you're going to put it through both arms. So this is really going to exaggerate keeping your elbows back. You're not going to be able to bring them past your rib cage at all. Then you just practice running on the track, on a treadmill, or even running around your neighborhood. It will give your neighbors something to talk about, which is always a good thing. From the front, it looks like this. Just make sure that you're not exaggerating the bad elbow window. You do want to keep your elbows in close to your side. And this is a good way to run on a treadmill in front of a mirror to look at your running form. You want to keep your shoulders nice and level, and you want to keep your hips level as well. Something else I like to do with the stick, and it is related to the arms, but this is going to be more with the hips. The most common problem I discover in injured runners is tight hip flexors. And this is due in large part, I'm sure, to our keyboard posture that most of us are locked into all day. So a good way to assess if your hip flexors are too tight is you can take the stick and put it along your spine and then kneel down. And you should have a hollow here, a nice hollow in what's called your lumbar lordosis, where you can slide your hand through. Now, you want this nice and vertical. Now, the tricky part here is performing what we call a posterior pelvic tilt. So what you need to do is imagine that you have a tail and you're trying to tuck your tail in between your legs. And you're trying to reduce this space in here, your lumbar lordosis, down to 0. So we call it posterior pelvic tilt. And in a lot of runners, and I'm even guilty a little bit myself, I can feel tightness here, which tells me I've been neglecting my hip flexor stretching. This is really going to mess up my running mechanics, my running form. It can contribute to an overstride and decreased running economy. I'm not going to be able to run with the mechanics of a Shalane Flanagan with hip flexors as tight as these are. So I've got some work to do. Another one of my favorite running form drills is the shoulder strap. I have adopted this brace from Thomas Miller, PhD, in Program to Run, a book that I found about 20 years ago. Happened to stumble upon, and I've modified his strap that I believe he used to make out of t-shirts. What I use is ferrotubing or surgical tubing and just 2 of the wrist straps they give you at marathons. This drill can do a lot of things for you. So what you need to do is get it behind your shoulders. And then you want to get these rings in your axilla, in your armpit. So just take a second here. And I have the band pretty tight, so it is restricting my movement. And if you don't get it tight enough, it doesn't work to retract your shoulder blades the way we want it to. So this is a little bit safer to run on the treadmill than with the stick, because it can be difficult to get out of the stick quickly if you lose your balance. With this now, you can just loosely put your thumbs in here, keep your hands nice and relaxed, and practice running with those potato chips in your hand if you like. So the way this works is it keeps the shoulder blades back. It keeps this elbow window open, and it helps with keeping this elbow window closed. So it helps you work on a nice compact arm swing, gives you the feel for it, and you could do this on the treadmill a few times a month, or again, you can do it around the neighborhood, give those neighbors more stuff to talk about. So guys, I've got my friend Bart here to help show what the shoulder strap does for you. So by keeping the shoulder blades back and retracted, that's in closer to your spine, it changes the angle of what we call the glenoid here, the face of where the ball attaches. So by keeping the shoulder blade back, you're going to tend to swing the arm straight back, which is what you want to do for good running form. You're always trying to push back. If the shoulder blades are forwards, what tends to happen is you're going to be able to swing more across the body like this, which you'll see a lot of runners do. And this can lead to all kinds of downstream problems. It can lead to a narrow base of support. It can lead to a decreased knee window, which can lead to runner's knee and a whole other host of problems. Thanks, Bart. So shortening up the length of lever arms in a rotational system, we know from basic physics, it will save energy. In other words, if we run with our arms and legs too straight, there is a high energy cost. If we can shorten up the length effectively of the arms or the legs, run with more bent elbows and more bent knees, there's a lot of energy saving. Something I learned from Jack Daniels, the famous running coach, is that if you have an extra ounce on your shoe, all other things equal, it will cost you 1 second per mile. Now compare this to other work. They've also found that an extra 8 ounces at your center of mass on the stomach will only cost you 1 second. So just shortening up the lever arms a little bit, bent knees and bent elbows, can save you a lot of energy, and in a long distance run, it adds up. So let's take a real runner here and see if we can help to improve her poor running form by concentrating on these drills to improve her arm swing. You can see from the posterior view here a large elbow window and increased trunk rotation. and a decreased knee window. Her knees almost touch. Let's try the shoulder stick drill first. She takes the dowel and places it in her elbow windows from the side. This forces her to keep her shoulder girdles back and retracted, forces her to keep her arms back a little bit more, like Shalane Flanagan. And it helps to keep her arm swing compact, and it helps to decrease her overstride. Overall, her form looks much better with the dowel. When available, I much prefer the shoulder strap drill. It allows for more natural movement. It works well for this runner. We can now see that her shoulders are more level and retracted. Her elbows are back further. She has no bad elbow window from behind. Her pelvis is level. She does still have a pretty closed knee window, which is something that we will work on further. From the side with the strap, her running form looks much better. She has a larger, good elbow window. Her shoulders are back and retracted. Her arm swing is compact. And she is no longer overstriding. So guys, in summary, what we've learned today is that if we can keep our elbows in a little bit closer to our body, not out here, you don't want to see any elbow window. If we can also keep them back a little bit further when we're running, that will allow us to run a little bit more like Shalane Flanagan and Ulid Kipichi, and run with greater economy, efficiency, and decrease our risk of running injuries. A win-win-win. So run, live well, and let's go for a run. Hey guys, physical therapist Jeff here with Run, Live Well. I hope you're enjoying our new running channel with new running videos every week. If you can hit like and subscribe, that will help bring you informative content every week. Have a good run. See you next time.